Hi everyone, Sid here, back in the bathroom. I got Vicky all strapped up here and ready to go. So let's do a straight razor rant. I wasn't exactly planning on doing another installment in what is now this series, but as is the nature of straight razor rants, I just pull a topic out of my ass and go. And this is what's on my mind recently. So I figured this is a good opportunity to talk some more about the US presidential election. I've been watching more debates. I am actually completely up to date except for the last Democratic debate which happened on Sunday. I watched the Republican one and I'm up to date on that. And I wanted to mention something. First of all, I know that when I was in part 2 of my series on the US presidential elections, I was kind of going on about the Democratic debates as far as how it's a seemingly never-ending loop of tax the rich more, give me more power, don't you hate Republicans, add, wash, rinse, repeat. But to be fair, and I knew this, it's just that I didn't really take the time to specify this. Republicans do this too. Watching a Republican debate is really a lot more akin to support the troops, give me more power, don't you hate Hillary Clinton? Support the troops, give me more power, don't you hate Hillary Clinton? Ad infinitum, basically. There are a couple nuances, but I think that that sums up the point really well. And another thing that I wanted to mention, and I was fascinated by this because I was watching myself, stay up to date. I tend to be quicker to watch the latest Republican debate than I am to watch the latest Democratic debate. And when I noticed that, like even the Dem debate that happened on Sunday, I am very curious to see, to watch the whole thing, especially since Trevor Noah poked some fun at both debates on The Daily Show last night. And I am very curious to watch both. However, Democratic debates, it feels a little bit more like a chore than the Republican debates. I'll be right back. So, this isn't a new phenomenon within myself, so I've had some time to inspect, and really it's pretty simple for me to understand. It's that, and I'm sure I can't imagine how anyone worth talking to would disagree with this, but it's pretty clear that the left dominates the narrative. I don't like using that collectivist term, but basically lefties. And the way I see it, and this is doubly true for me living in Quebec, but it's true basically everywhere except for maybe the Bible Belt and whatnot. But the way I see it, if I want to see some random lefty nonsense, I'll just turn the TV on to some random station, or I'll go take a walk outside and run into random people talking to each other. It's really easy, lefty nonsense is a dime a dozen, but right-wing nonsense, ooh, that is a much more rare fruit. I mean, this ties into a comment I've made a lot. The left dominates the narrative so much that Fox News can actually get away with calling themselves alternative media, when it's pretty clear to anyone with eyes to see that they are quite mainstream. They're mainstream right instead of being mainstream left. So that's why I tend to, I'll watch both for reasons that I've covered. I think it's important as an exercise in advanced sophistry, as I've mentioned many times before. But, sophistry from the right. It's so much more, unique and less available less often that I'll be quicker to jump to catch up on that. And one thing I want to mention real quick, this was a discovery to me as I was watching the Republican debate. I think her name is Maria Bartiromo. She's a discovery for me. The first time I saw her, I was like, damn, who is she? And it's funny because as far as the women of Fox News are concerned, they tend to put Megyn Kelly front and center, and that's kind of understandable. Based on my short research, Megyn Kelly seems to be the only one who has glamour shots of her, like with doing stuff like that with her face. But and I speak only for myself, but Maria Bartiromo, she's got it going on. Definite cutie. I mean, again, it's hard to find a physically ugly person in the media in general. The uglies tend to be men, but yeah. And another thing I wanted to point out, I really get a kick of this. Donald Trump is a fucking tank. And I'm using tank in the gaming sense of he just draws a bunch of damage and just shrugs it off. I get a kick of watching Trump do that Trump kind of reminds me of that Seinfeld episode. Well, everything reminds me of Seinfeld, but when all the characters are going, what about this? If I find the clip of that, I'll put it under here. But it's really interesting to watch Donald Trump take all this flack and just shrug it off as if it's nothing. I mean, you can tell that this guy has experience being on TV and dealing with criticism. I will do the second pass and I'll be right back. I'll see you at the end of this. Alright. So, welcome back. Shave was pretty decent. I had to do a third pass for the chin area, which is hard enough to shave without speaking. I'm glad that I tweet this to get me to use Vicky more often. There's one final thing I want to say about Trump, but I'm going to preface it with a comment or a realization that I had with one of the later Democratic debates. Republicans. Of the candidates that are in the lot that are remaining, Chris Christie is by far the one who scares me the most because of a comment. He seems to be super tough on the Middle East in a way where, and this is probably going to be a video on its own, but a way where the hornet's nest stirring that has caused all this blowback that we've seen over the last few decades, Chris Christie seems more than willing to agitate it enough to spawn World War III. I'll put a link under this to the moment where I said, holy shit, forget Trump, this is the guy that we have to be afraid of. Where he's talking about how he would be more than willing to shoot down Russian planes if they were flying into a no-fly zone. And Rand Paul aptly pointed out, well, if you want World War III, here's your candidate, pointing to Christie. And when I was sharing this moment with people in conversations, I kept telling myself, like, Trump might be a bigger warmonger than Christie. I mean, I don't remember many foreign policy questions being lobbed at him. questions lobbed at Trump tend to be around immigration and or whether or not he's a jerk. So I didn't have any clear positions on Trump and what his foreign policy was. So I entered a search. I Googled Trump foreign policy, and I fell onto a site. I'll put the link below as well. That has a bunch of quotes on him, and I kind of like him on foreign policy in the sense that he seems to be a non-interventionist, and it also confirmed my impression. The only comments that I saw of Trump's in one of the debates was one of the earlier ones. I think it was September and November, which is eons ago in the Twitter age. So he seems to be a non-interventionist, and I like that a lot. Now, of course, what I just said rests on the assumption that if he got into office, he'll do what he says. And that is always a big question mark, although I must say, of all the people that I can see being into coming into office and actually doing the things that they ran on, Trump is the one that would surprise me the least. No matter what you think of what he says he's going to do, he's the one who surprises me the least as far as doing what he said he was going to do. If you compare that to an Obama who ran on transparency and peace in the Middle East, and he ended up being a bigger, more secretive warmonger than Bush. So that would be the last nuance that I wanted to say to that. So thank you very much for watching. I'm very happy that you made it this far. I was listening to myself during the first part and I'm like, man, I'm rambly as fuck. But I kept going, and thank you very much for bearing with me. Please like and share and leave comments under this video as far as what you think of any of the candidates on either side. I will eventually watch the latest Democratic debate. Hopefully there won't be too many more by then. And that's about it. So please like, share, subscribe to me on YouTube. That would help me out a lot. And you will find links to my Twitter and my Tumblr under this video. So that's about it. I will see you soon. You take care.